What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mike and Kris show number 4.
Oh, yeah, number 4.
Number 3 was amazing,
Yeah.
and it went much, much better than I anticipated. And it was all about my previous opiate addiction, and this is something that's going to take many shows to talk about.
Totally.
But I feel like we got a great start to it. Would you say so?
It's a big story, absolutely.
It is a big story. Got my notes here.
Yeah, you did beautiful. You thought you were rambling all over the place, but it was beautifully.
I really did, and to be completely honest, I wasn't very sure of myself in regards to knowing that I would help others, and I was wrong, and I'm glad I was wrong, because the amount of messages and comments that we got were amazing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people came out and said that they had issues that we never knew about. A lot of our close friends, and also just thinking about family members that had, have other family members with addictions and didn't really understand or don't understand why someone would do such a thing or why it's so difficult to stop. And to be able to shed some light on these things makes me feel great.
Yeah. That's how we change it. I mean, this needs to be brought to life because mental health issues, addiction, there's such stigmas around them, and it shouldn't be that way.
Absolutely.
So we're helping to change that.
I want to change that, and we will change that. And just so much to talk about. And I'm grateful that people were there to listen, and in addition to that, offer me healing too, because it was really hard for me to talk about it, not because I'm concerned about what other people think, but more so because I had this pain that I didn't realize I kind of put in this secret door and just left there. Yeah. And, I tried doing many things to let go of that pain, but I think what really did it for me was coming out and telling everyone, like on that last episode.
It's beautiful, baby.
If you did hear that last episode, one of the first things I did when I got over the whole addiction thing was I talked with both my parents, but there's definitely something about putting myself out there for people to listen to, people to judge, whatever it may be. But I'm okay, and I spent the last week really thinking about this a lot, almost nonstop. And whereas before it may have taken away my energy or made me feel like shit, it was actually very empowering because through your feedback, I saw that, okay, I am doing something great here. I do have a story.
He does.
Kristen obviously has her story, and something that we've gone through together with her health and me being a caretaker. But I've always kind of felt that I'm sharing her story. And this I now realize that I have a story as well that people need to hear. So I want to throw that out there. Yeah. I believe I cried it all out.
Yay!
I feel a lot better. I feel so much more comfortable.
You got to get it out.
You do, and we're going to talk. We got some great questions that we're going to address. Thank you, everyone, for the questions. We may not get to all of them, but we'll get through a decent amount of them for sure. Yeah. And I just thought about that because one of them had to do with males and masculinity and being emotional, so we're going to get to that.
Ooh, yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Society, what are you trying to do to us? Tell us men shouldn't cry. We shouldn't have mental health issues. We shouldn't talk about this or that. It's like that's such old school beliefs.
It needs to be talked about, and I hope that I can be an example of a masculine man that gets emotional, and it's okay because you got to let it out. Because you know what? We're human. Yeah. And who doesn't cry? Yeah. You need to do it. Sometimes you just.
Sensitive guy.
I am very sensitive. I've always been like that. It runs in my family. But I love who I am, and I wouldn't change it. And sometimes you got to cry it out.
That's a beautiful. What you just said right there is a beautiful gift.
What's that?
That you love who you are and you wouldn't change that.
Oh.
That's the biggest gift you can give yourself, because most people won't say that they don't love themselves, you know?
Well,
and to get to that point, because I know how much work you've done to get there.
It's taking me a while, and it's
Same
taking
here,
me
yeah.
going through a lot of dark shit. There's no other way to put it, in order to come to the realization of what's important, who I am, to be proud of myself. I just turned 42 years old, and
Yeah, you did.
honestly, it wasn't until somewhat recently that I could honestly say that. It took me my entire life. I always felt like I wasn't good enough. I don't know why. That's something else that I need to figure out. But that's okay. We're here, and I'm just grateful that people are here to listen. And I'm going to do my absolute best in shedding some light on this very difficult topic.
Important.
And important.
Very important.
Of opiate addiction.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I want to address some questions, and I thought that you can start, sweetie. You had that great question.
Ooh, yes, that's a great one. Let me get a sip of water.
Oh, make sure you get that sip of water. Today we just decided to get right into it. Our fun drink is water, because
Gotta stay hydrated.
gotta stay alive. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, such a freaking fantastic question came in to my DMs, and it addresses just so many parts of life, but it was, how do you help someone who you know is addicted to something, but they are not ready to change? And this goes for anything. This goes for, how do you help someone change their diet when they don't want to change their diet? How do you help someone change their career when they don't want to change their career yet, even though they're miserable, whatever it is. So for this topic, we're going to stick to addiction, but I think the very best thing that you can do is tell that person how much you love them, how much you care about them, whatever feelings feel true to you. Let them know that, make sure that they hear that, and let them know that when they are ready for help, that you are there for them. And that is all that you can do. And trust me, I know how hard it is in so many different ways, for especially when it's like your best friend or your family member that you love so deeply, and you see like, gosh, if they would just, get clean or whatever it is, that their life would be so much better. But everyone has to get there on their own time. We cannot ever force someone to change. I'm a huge believer, and I think you'll probably agree with me, that when you try to force someone to change and make a change, it will make them go the other direction. That's what you will do for me.
Ditto.
If anyone tries to tell me, you need to do this, Kristen, you need to do that, I'll be like, I'm going to do the complete opposite. Because as humans, we don't really want to be told what to do for the most part. So let that person know you love them. Let them know you care. Let them know that you are there no matter what. And then especially when it comes to addiction, you can step away because you don't want to enable that person. That's a big one. Mike will tell you, for me, I will never be an enabler. That's the one thing I will never, ever be in any area of anyone's life. I will not enable them, because I realize that does not help anyone. That only makes the situation worse, because I'm helping them carry out whatever it is. So let them know you're there. Let them know you love them, and be okay with stepping away. So I know it's hard, but I think that's the best thing you can do.
Some serious wisdom bombs you just dropped there.
I've learned from a lot of experience. We've dealt with so many things in our life. Like, these aren't things that I was taught in school or ever read in a book or anything. And yes, there are many, mindset leaders and things like that I look up to, but these are just things that I've learned from, quite frankly, doing the opposite and realizing that doesn't work. I had a family member who was really, really sick, and I tried to get them to change their diet because I thought that was the answer. I thought I knew the answer. And it was the most painful lesson when I realized I was so wrong. And the best thing you can do is just be there and just let people live their own journeys, because it would be selfish of me to try to change someone's journey, no matter who that is, because they have to learn their own lessons. And I'm sure, especially as, say, a parent, or again, family member, it's hard. God, it is so hard. We get it. It is so, so hard. But if you love that person, it's the best thing you can do. So I'll end my rant.
Yeah, I don't. That was a beautiful rant. Yeah, I honestly don't believe that we can fix people.
100%. No.
We can love and support, offer guidance or suggestions, but really, just like you said, like if someone says, Mike, you need to do this, like before they even tell me what I need to do,
Be like, I'm not listening.
in my head, it's like, shut up.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's just...
I get that all the time. People have their opinions. I'm always told by readers, and they mean it with love, I'm sure, but I'm always told things that I should be doing or doing differently. Can you imagine if I listened to that too? It's like you're constantly changing directions in your life. So,
and it's hard because I feel like at the root of what it is people are doing when you're trying to change someone or help someone, it's like you think you're doing a good thing.
Yes.
That's the intention.
Yes.
It takes time to realize that it isn't the right thing.
Yeah.
And this is something that we learned several different events throughout our lives in order to come to that conclusion. So, yeah, today I never tell anyone what to do. I generally only offer guidance if people ask, and if I do, I would say, well, here's a suggestion for you.
Totally. I
And then
recommend looking into this.
Yeah, look into this and then just let it go. And that's how we offer love, realizing that everyone's on their own journey. And when people are ready to change, they will change, which gets us back to the original question, which you were spot on with. Like, as I believe, as an addict, I'm speaking for myself here, but I know there's many others, we will change when we're ready. And another thing that I noticed with addicts and with myself back when I was in it was some of us don't think we're addicts.
That was a great point you brought up this week. That was
Yeah.
a phenomenal point. Because from the outside, you might see things a certain way, but when you're in it, that was a great point.
Yeah,
They might not even know.
let's
They
say you
might
had a family member and just by looking at how they live their lives or what they're doing, what they're taking, you come to the conclusion that they're an addict. And you bring that up, there's a good chance you might get back, I'm not an addict. What are you even talking about? You're an
anger,
addict.
yeah.
Because here's the thing. When I was in it, when I had my opiate addiction, I had more irrationality within my life than ever because I wasn't able to think clearly. Would you agree with that?
100%. And you're just such a different person. You're not thinking rationally because just like you talked about last week, you're thinking in the moment. You don't want to think about like, oh, this is a real huge problem. I can't speak for you, but maybe it is when you realize that it's a huge problem that you realize, okay, I think I need to change something, you know?
I mean, that's what it was for me.
Yeah,
I
it
had,
could be different for everyone.
And that's why these rock bottoms, people hitting these rock bottoms, bring change a lot of times because it takes something extremely messed up for people to wake up and be like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I still remember flushing pills down the toilet. Oh my God.
I remember you telling me you did that.
That was scary because, again, you got to remember that when people are taking pills, opiates specifically, when you don't have pills, which is another thing that would bring me anxiety, is knowing that I'm coming up towards the end of my pills and I got to find more because you know in the back of your head, like, I'm going to get sick. I don't want to be sick. And I remember when it was finally the time when I flushed pills down the toilet, it was just like, there's no going back. It's like, we're doing it. Yeah. We're doing it. So that was a great question. And
that was a really good question. That's one of the biggest questions, I would say, is how do you help other people?
I had a question that said, it was very similar to that. It just said, from a partner's perspective, is there anything Kristen could have done to help push you to get help? And I would say no.
Especially with your personality, too.
Yeah.
You kind of have to do things your own way.
You have to come to a point. The addict where the individual has to come to a point within their life where they say enough is enough.
Yeah.
And that may look different for everyone involved. Some people may need to attend like a 12-step program or go to rehab.
Yeah, it's going to look different for everyone depending on your life circumstances, how deep the layers of addiction go, because addiction is, using something to cover up something else. There's something else underneath it.
For me specifically, like I was masking emotional pain, emotional and mental pain. When I took pain pills, back then, it was never about the pain. I can take the pain. Shit, I've gone through like 3 or 4 kidney stones in the last couple of years. Go through that.
No pain meds.
Pain pills don't touch that. Before we get on to the questions, I was looking at my notes and there's something else I really want to address because this is extremely important to me. So back when I was dealing with my addiction, and more so when I was going through withdrawals, and several weeks after that, it was a really shitty time in my life, and I needed help. And one of the things that I did was go on the internet and try to find these forums.
Ooh, I know where this is going.
For opiate addicts. And
Forums.
anytime back then, the ones that I found, I noticed that they all had left me feeling sad and hopeless, left me feeling defeated and unmotivated. I appreciated the fact that people were putting themselves out there, but I wasn't getting these incredible, amazing stories that I was hoping for. And I didn't feel good about it. So,
Great point.
With that being said, my goal in sharing this and what I'm going to be doing also on Instagram with our Empowering Strength, and this makes so much sense, is sharing my story of getting over opiate addiction in order to empower others. I want people that are going through withdrawals, going through opiate addiction, to be able to come and find me and listen to what I have to say, get some good truth bombs and some wisdom, but more than anything, just feel strong and feel amazing and let people know this is where I was, but this is where I am now. And this is how I did it. And when you're going, it doesn't have to be the end of the world.
Yes.
Even though it feels like it.
Yes.
Because chemically, you're so off that you're not thinking clearly. And I would respond to what I would read, and it would really affect me. And back when I was hurting, I thought to myself, I want to prevent people from feeling this way when I was going through the withdrawals. So this is how I do it. Just by being me and being brave and honest and just putting myself out there and showing people that it's okay that you find yourself in this position, because it happens to a lot of people. Yeah. And it's okay. And when you're ready, we can get you out of this if you're willing to put in the work and be honest with yourself.
Huge.
And just know that things can and will get better. God, those forums made me so sad.
I knew where you were going with that because I had the exact same experience with ostomy forums. And I remember mentioning that somewhere on Instagram, and someone made such a great point. She said, the people who are living their life and thriving are not in those forums. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's exactly right. And someone had messaged me that her daughter had showed me her page because she had ostomy. Her daughter had showed me her page forced her to leave every Facebook forum about ostomies, and now she was only following me, and she was so excited because forums can be so depressing. That's the only experience I've had with them as well. I'm sure in some cases, maybe they're awesome.
I wanted to say that.
But it's a great point to think that maybe people who are living their best lives aren't on those forums.
Or it's like, I want to be very clear. Do we think all forums are bad? Absolutely not, of course.
Of course, I'm sure there's great ones.
But let's say when I was looking for forums and I was doing my Google searches, I mean, at least the first 20 to 30 that popped up.
Yeah. They're not good.
Just not good. And the ones that I were reading, you have people on there that they want to help and they mean to, but the way that it's coming off, the energy that I was receiving from how these stories were being told, it was doing the exact opposite of what I came there for.
Is it like never-ending pain? Just like these people's stories weren't getting any better?
Yeah, well, let's take an example of like someone that was going through withdrawals, and withdrawals for me would be different from you, but when you're going through something, you start you almost see yourself as a family with these people in the forums because it's like, oh, they're going through it too, and you don't have to go through what they did. Because I would read stuff like, I've been going through withdrawals for 3 months. And immediately I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What?
Like, that sounds awful.
It's like, that didn't make me feel empowered. Kind of a funny story that I know you know about this. When I was going through withdrawal, so the first 3 to 4 days are like hell. And then for several weeks after that, at least from what I experienced, was just like depression, weakness, just didn't really want to do anything. I was unmotivated. I just didn't have the strength. And I spent a lot of time on this couch. Well, it was a different couch, but on the couch. And I remember watching TV. I remember Dancing with the Stars was on. And I remember watching it. It just, the lowest of the low. And I remember watching these people dance and thinking to myself, wow, that's amazing. I hope that I could do something like that one day. I didn't understand how they were able to memorize everything and do all the movement because I was in such a shitty place. But after I got off the addiction, and I don't remember how much later it was, maybe a year or two, when I got my strength back, I did something that I've always wanted to do. And this was when you were healthy too. And I always thought I could be on Ninja Warrior. I used to watch it in high school because it started off in Japan. But I started training hard and I got on American Ninja Warrior in, I think it was 5 months.
Is that 2015?
No, that was 2014, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, that would make sense. Yeah. That would be about 3 years after my surgery.
2014, I think, is what it was. And now I'm just, at 42 years old, I'm doing some crazy athletic stuff I never thought I would have been able to do. I feel the most healthy and the most athletic I've ever felt in my entire life. At my age, getting through all of this. So that's another thing I want to share. I want to give people strength. I want to give people hope. I want to show you can do all of these amazing things too. You may not feel like it right now. I know you might be feeling down, but know that it's normal and know that these things will get better because they have to. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I really wanted to share that.
I love that.
I want to empower people. I want to leave you feeling stronger after watching our videos.
Now you're dancing with the Ninja Warrior
Oh, now I'm dancing with the Ninja Warrior. Okay.
That was the first thing that you ever did for yourself, because you literally dedicated your life to me, and then we're dealing with addiction, and we're in such a hard place for so long. Doing Ninja Warrior was the very first thing you really did for yourself.
I dedicated my time all to Kris from 2002 to 2013. I remember October 2013 is when I started my training for Ninja Warrior.
And March 2014, you were on the show, right?
Right.
March, April, something like
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, back then you didn't really have like Ninja Warrior gyms all over the United States, but there just happened to be one.
Literally
Like 10
15
minutes from our house.
Yeah, 10, 15 minutes.
And then I became like best friends with the guy that owns it. And I've been basically working there for
helping out
6-7 years. Well,
yeah.
I'm in charge of setting up obstacles with
yeah.
my buddy, but it was never about money. It was just straight passion. I've never taken any money from there. I've always donated my time, but that was my church. That was my healing.
Ooh, I love that. That was your church.
Going to training. Yeah. The addiction went from pills to health and athleticism.
Yeah. Transferring it to something healthy without overdoing that thing, obviously.
Right. Maybe addiction is a bad term for it. It's just like...
I know what you mean.
I love it because
your passion.
I have a passion for it. It pushes me to do things that I never thought I could do. And it shows me my true strength. And I just love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mike, with everything, goes all in. There's no like halfway. If he's into something, he goes all in. That's why
True dat.
Addiction is a big thing. And that's why, with a healthy lifestyle, you go all into it. So it's really cool.
When I make the decision.
When you make the decision and when you want it. Yeah.
If I really want something, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a meal or something. I'm talking about something I really want. Like something I was always proud of was becoming a paramedic and getting hired on the fire department. Like as an example, I was always very proud about that because there was a lot of work that went into that. And that's all I mean when I say I want something, I'm going to get it. I just mean that I will do whatever it takes, through studying and learning and working and yeah, all good stuff.
Yep.
Okay. So
questions.
So here's a good one. I'm interested in the relationship between you asking for help in your emotional health journey and how that interplays with any ideas you've been raised on about masculinity and some of the unfortunate training for boys and men on showing emotion as weakness. How do you flip that narrative for yourself?
Love that.
Well, I grew up in a very loving family.
Fortunate.
My parents raised me well. I never once. I can't remember anyone ever telling me boys don't cry. Although obviously you'll see that on TV or movies. It is there, that idea, for whatever reason. I don't know where it comes from.
I think there's a lot of families too where you're not allowed to express emotion. I was fortunate it wasn't that case at all in my family either. We were allowed to freely express whatever and we're encouraged to. And I know your dad's a sensitive guy too. So
and my brother.
Get that from him.
And my brother.
Which is beautiful.
It is. Because we're lovers. We love people. And we always put everyone ahead of ourselves. And that's just who we are. I didn't have to be taught that. That's just... My mom popped me out, and I love people. Thanks, Mom.
Mom popped me out.
There
you go, all the moms out there.
That's what happens, really.
That's how it works.
So for me, I was never concerned about what other people felt when I get emotional. It's just, I've always known who I am, and if people don't like that, I don't care. That's just how I am.
I have a thought for this.
Yeah.
As far as, I think it's very easy to think that if you are any kind of human and you show emotion, that it might make other people uncomfortable or whatever. I think you'd be surprised. Because I think it actually makes people more comfortable.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh my gosh, she's human too. He's human too. I feel that way. And it brings a connection. So I think it's, we might have this thing in society that tells us, men are supposed to be strong and not cry or whatever. Or maybe you grew up in a family that told you weren't supposed to show emotions. Or maybe your parents didn't tell you that they loved you, which is horrible. But I think you would be very surprised that if you just open up and just be the real authentic you, who you're going to attract and who will gravitate towards that. So I think it's just really practicing and letting go of those beliefs. So that's how you do it. It's just slowly practice over time.
And also understanding that being masculine has absolutely nothing to do with not being able to express emotion.
Woo!
There's
Yes.
absolutely
Yes.
nothing wrong about being emotional as a man. If anything, in my opinion, it makes you more of a man, because I feel that it takes bravery to put yourself out there. Because, let's just take our last episode. Maybe someone sees me, crying on there and immediately thinks, oh, that dude's not a man. Men don't cry. It's like, that doesn't even make sense. It holds no water. There's no rationality within that statement. So I feel like when you know that that's bullshit, and you know who you are, and you're proud of who you are, it's able to let things go. And then also, for anyone that would ever say that you're not masculine because you cry, it's like, do you really care what they have to say? Listen to that statement and think about it. That in itself should show you what kind of a perspective that individual is coming from. So it is my goal, as I continue to share more and more, to show people that it's okay to be emotional. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I believe a lot of people will appreciate that. Just be yourself.
Those are some knowledge bombs right there. That was beautiful.
I'm speaking from the heart. I've realized that
absolutely, you could tell.
When you speak from the heart, the truth often just kind of comes out. Yeah.
From the heart, not the head.
You got to speak from the heart. So, men, boys, it's okay to be emotional. That's called being human.
It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to feel every range of emotion. That's what makes us human.
Yeah. And I have my manly man moments too, but it's balance.
Totally.
It's balance, and
that's what makes you such an amazing husband.
You need both.
Yeah.
Did we nail that one? Did we get that one, you think?
You nailed that one. That was beautiful.
Well,
great job.
I didn't necessarily nail it, but I just want to make sure that one was addressed. Thank you for that. That was amazing. Okay, so next, and this is for you as well. What did it look like as you shared your addiction with Kristen? And did you guys go through a big shift in how you interacted with one another as you moved forward after that revelation? So what did it look like when I shared my addiction? I think I told her once I realized I was starting to get sick when I didn't take them. Maybe you can help refresh my memory, because I can't remember exactly how I did it. But I think once I told you I think the pills are making me sick, that was probably the first time you maybe understood that there was going to be an issue. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I remember it was after my last surgery, and I knew that you were taking pills, but I had no idea what the extent of that was. I knew he had a prescription for them, but again, no clue. I was not doing so great myself either. I was very sick.
She had enough to worry about.
Yeah, so I was a little bit disconnected from everything. So I remember when you told me that you think the pills are making you sick and you were going to stop them. To me, in that moment, I didn't think it was a huge deal, because I'm like, okay, you're just going to stop the pills. Like, I've done that before with my surgery. And usually, like after I had a surgery and things, they would kind of taper you off and just be smart about it. But he'd been on them for so long that as you started to have withdrawals, that was pretty eye-opening to me, because that's when I started to realize, oh, this is a much bigger problem than I thought it was. And it is not easy being the partner. There were times where I was really angry. I was really upset, and I felt like I'd been lied to. So it took a lot of open communication, honest communication, and just talking about things. And it was very hard when he was like in the thick of withdrawals because I also wasn't in a good place. So we kind of just had to do whatever we could to get through those days and then progress from there. But again, it was just lots of communication. And I think you mentioned it on the last episode that you dealt with having to take pain pills since then. Like after you had three knee surgeries in a year. You had to take pain pills for that. They had to put you under for that, all that kind of stuff.
The ultimate test.
The ultimate test. And I remember being very nervous going into that. But one of the biggest things that I've learned from being the partner to someone who's dealt with addiction is I cannot control you. It is not my job to control you. The only thing that I can do is love you and learn to trust you. So we really had to build that trust over again. So that trust was 100% rebuilt once you went through that knee surgery because I wasn't sitting there doling out your pain medicine, as far as I remember. I trusted you.
But I was also open.
You were very open.
And had my pill bottles out.
Yeah.
Babe, here's what I've got going on right now.
We had lots and lots and lots and lots of conversations about it. It wasn't just like, here's your pain pills, go on the couch, do your thing. It's like, no, we're talking about this. But I also needed to rebuild that trust. In order to rebuild that trust, I had to give him some of the responsibility. And you passed it with flying colors. I mean, you were a completely different person then, though.
You were back then. I never wanted to take them again, ever. I didn't plan on screwing up my knee as bad as I did.
I remember, well,
I took
that was like a freak out.
I had to take 10 months off of work, and it was, 3 knee surgeries in a year. It was bad, and the pain was bad, and I absolutely had to take them. But I was able to use them as a tool and get off of them as soon as I could. Never had to take more, never had to go get another prescription or lie about anything. It was just like, here's my pills. I remember I'd leave them like on the table. I wanted Kristen to see what they were. And as soon as I got off of them, I had no problems. I had no withdrawals. I had no issues.
Yeah, you didn't even finish the pill bottle.
Right.
And I remember being so proud of you and realizing I think that's the thing. Addiction can feel so hopeless, just like you said. And it's like you're showing that you can actually change as a human, become a completely different person that no longer needs to rely on that.
Because I made the decision.
Because you did the work.
That I'm sorry, but I was fucking done. Yeah. I went through hell. There's no way ever that I'm going through that again. Because there's no reason to. Because here's a great point. Because that feeling I was chasing before when I was taking the opiates, that high feeling, I've got it right now. But it's a lot better. And I'm not on anything because I'm healthy. I have my baby.
It's the high of life, yeah.
It is a high of life. And that might sound silly to some people, but it's true. It's like that feeling I was chasing before of not suffering, of not being anxious, of not being depressed. It's like I live that life now. And that's exactly why it's like I don't, there were questions on, do you ever have cravings? And the answer is absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's a big one too. So I think the story of addiction that most of us hear is, like you said, it's a pretty hopeless story. It's like, oh, you might get clean, but you're going to have to fight these cravings for your entire life. And that's just how it is. That's what the addict's life is like. And that's what I used to believe as well. And that's another thing I love about your stories because you've changed that story that I used to even have in my own head of what addiction looked like.
People could take hundreds of pills, Vicodin, oxycodone, Oxycontin, morphine, whatever you want. Throw them on the table right here, and I promise you I would have zero cravings.
And I know that I could leave and you'd be fine.
Yeah.
It's not even like we've just come so far in our relationships that it's not even a question for me. I trust you that much.
Be like, why the hell would I want to do that to myself?
Yeah.
It's like, here's a piece of paper. Don't look at it unless you want to foreclose on your house and lose everything you got. It's like, oh God, I don't know. I gotta have it. It's like, why the hell would I want that? It's you can get to a point. I'm talking about recovering addicts here, to where that high that you were always chasing, that's how you live your life. I'm not saying I don't have difficult points in my life. I'm not saying...
We all do.
But I remember when I used to take the pills and I would be feeling good, like once it started kicking in, because it was always this. It was, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling shitty. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling shitty. I used to just keep them in my pocket and just pop them, chew them, and whatever. And it was always like, once they started hitting and you felt great, then that anxiety starts coming in. Just like, oh God, you're gonna lose this feeling. You need to take more. It was like, I became obsessed with just like this amazing feeling that I was never able to get because I was always chasing it. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's just like, why the hell would I ever want to go through that again? You know, I would never take back my addiction because everything I went through brought me to this place, to where I am now. And to share this story, it's made me, opiates, the addiction has made me into the man I am today. And I would never take that back. And I've learned so much from it. So for that, I am grateful. Yeah. But zero cravings. But it took me a lot of work to get there. And it took me to hit my rock bottom. And I hit a few of those things. And I thought I did. I thought I was going to quit. But they weren't rock bottom enough, apparently. You know? It's like, I had to damn near almost die to wake up and be like, done. And when I make up my mind like that, it's no going back. Yeah. So that is my response to, do you ever feel cravings, or do you have to be afraid of this ever coming back into my life? No. It's
tough as a partner, and again, it's going to look, just like anything in life, it's going to look different for every single person. But that is why we have the relationship that we have today. That's why we are as unbreakable as we are today. That's why we have so much damn fun every single day, and you keep me laughing. Even in the hardest times, you get me laughing. But it's something that's often asked, and someone had even messaged me this week saying, like, they used to think that we were just like fake and too positive. And I used to get that a lot of people who, it was meant to be a compliment.
Thank you.
It was meant to be a compliment. I just think it's funny when people say that. But I used to, in the past, have people be like, you're too positive, Kristen, you're too positive. But what you have to realize is what it took us to get here. So, of course, when I wake up in the morning and my eyes open and I get another chance at life, and he is living and breathing next to me, and we are healthy, and we live in a beautiful home, and we have so much, what do I not have to be positive about? You know?
We used to live in hospitals.
Oh my gosh, we used to have date nights basically in hospitals.
Just like...
You'd watch a show with me on their teeny tiny little TV.
When you live a very difficult life, and then you're somewhere like here... I had the best birthday a couple days ago. We didn't go anywhere, and we stayed right here. And Kristen cooked me a delicious meal, and it was the best birthday yet. And it's just like, we're in a great place. We're in a great place with our health. We've got our boys, our dogs, and
snooze them.
And we have the incredible opportunity of sharing our story in order to help others. And that brings us a lot of joy.
It's an opportunity.
So we're optimists. And we are positive. And we do turn lemons into lemonade because we've had a lot of practice. And I prefer the man I am when I'm an optimist and always look for the good than the opposite, because I was that person too at one point in my life, and that didn't work out too well for me.
Same here. We haven't always been this way at all. You know? Yeah. We were the complete opposite of who we are now. So
I'd say I used to be kind of a negative person just because I don't know why.
That's just all we knew.
I don't know why, but life grabbed me by the hand and said,
come this way.
Let me teach you something.
Let me give you a little lesson.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's going to change who you are.
give me about 12 years.
But it's also such a gift because you could be still so negative, being like, why did I have to deal with addiction? Why did I have to go through that? That was so hard. And it's so easy to do that. It's so easy to do that in this life. I could do the same thing with my health, but it's complete bullshit because you turned that around and created something amazing from it. You know, that's how you turned it into a gift. So you're able to find the good in it. And that is so necessary in life. I'm all about finding the good in any situation.
You have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
survival.
Otherwise, it'll drive you crazy.
Yeah, it will.
Right?
Yep.
Last one here. Question. How did you recover? Rehab, 12 steps. Interested to hear your take on how addiction is a family disease that affects everyone who loves the addict. How did you recover your relationship? The last part we talked about, being honest and open and truthful. I think that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
But so how did I recover? I did not go to rehab. I did not go to a 12-step program. I'm not saying don't do those things. I'm just telling you what I did.
That's all different.
And this goes back to what we were just talking about is, for me, luckily with my personality, I just had to make the decision that I was absolutely done. Where that can be tricky for other people is, in order to get there, I had to get to a place to where I could have killed myself. And I don't want people to have to go to get to that point. And perhaps for them, going to a program would be great. I can't speak on programs because I never went to one, but I can only imagine how helpful they are for everyone. I'm very fortunate to have my personality, because when I decide I no longer want to do something, or I want to do something, then I'm going to do it or not do it. So that, I was lucky in that aspect.
Can I mention something
Sure,
that I thought
please,
was very helpful?
Please.
When you went to go see an addiction specialist, that was free through our insurance as well. I remember that was really helpful.
We have Kaiser.
And I was there too.
We have Kaiser. And I remember being on the couch and I just remember when I was going through the serious withdrawal, I was just crying all day and just feeling the worst of the worst of the worst thoughts ever. And I needed help. And I called and spoke to someone and got an appointment rather quickly with an addiction specialist, which is a doctor. I remember them telling me on the phone, we're not going to give you pain pills, right? I'm like, please, no, that's not what I want. And I briefly mentioned this last episode, although it was kind of hard for me to talk about because it was so emotional. I feel a lot better about talking about it now.
Look, 1 week.
I will never forget the doctor telling me, what you're going through, it's going to change and things will get better. And for me, just hearing that from someone, especially a doctor, that's literally all he did was deal with addicts. Just hearing that in itself gave me so much hope. And I left that appointment feeling so much better. And that's what I'm really hoping that these videos will do for addicts or people that may have addicts in their family or be around them or friends or whatever, is just to show you, to give you hope and just show you that it will get better. Yeah. Sometimes that's all you need. And that was one of the best decisions I made, was seeing an addiction specialist. It was very, very helpful.
Were they like a therapist, psychiatrist, something like that? Because I think you only talk to them. That's all they're there for, is really you just talk to them, right?
I talked to them, and they also, he was the one that put me on the methadone to help get me.
Okay. For some reason, I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, no, it was great. I definitely suggest that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with seeing an addiction specialist or
someone that you can talk to. Again, if it goes back to, if you're in a very different relationship and you're not able to talk to your partner about these things, find a therapist. to talk to you. You have to get these things out. You have to be able to talk about it with someone who's rationally minded. It's really helpful.
One thing I also want to address is they can also help you. Let's say you go to an addiction specialist and you have a problem. Let's say you're taking 30 Vicodin a day and you're scared. You're scared to go off them because you know you're going to feel like shit. You don't have to do it alone. You know, they can offer you things that will help you, you know, whether it be tapering off of or just if you decide you want to stop, they can give you, because the thing that happens when you go through withdrawals is like your blood pressure raises up, you get depression, your body just feels absolutely horrible. So they can prescribe things that can help you go through withdrawals in a much, much better and easier way. So...
it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be
the
hell,
worst of the worst of the worst.
Although
right?
that's what it took for me to change.
Yeah. It's almost you needed to experience that, right?
I had to experience that, and that is the major driving force. One of the major driving forces behind me never ever wanting to take like pills again. It's like all I have to do is think back to how I felt. Worst feeling in the world. Yeah. It really is. It really is. So for me, it's completely, I understand why people do what they do, why people don't get off the opiates, why they have to turn to heroin. Like, I get it. It's because that feeling is so horrible, you will do absolutely anything you can do to escape it. And that's why people move on to harder drugs. In regards to opiates, I'm sure there's a lot of people that never thought that they would be sticking a needle in their arm and injecting heroin, but they got to a point to where they were hurting so bad that that was the best choice. Yeah. You know? So it's okay if you need help, talk to someone. See if there's an addiction specialist. It'll be one of the best things that you've done for yourself.
Yeah, beautiful.
Anything else you wanted to address on this?
I think that might be a wrap for this episode.
Okay. So, thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you. Very
Our
proud of
video
you.
last week, Mike and Kris episode number 3, did very well. And I'm just so grateful for all of the support and feedback and questions. Mm-hmm. I'm going to continue to brainstorm and think of how I can put this information out there to where it can continue to help people.
Yeah.
I would love some other questions to address things that we've talked about or haven't talked about.
Anything, everything. Ask away.
Yeah, ask away. We need to get it out there. And it makes me happy that I was able to help so many people. There's a couple messages that really stood out. They had family members that were addicts and they just didn't understand why they were doing what they were doing, and me putting myself out there and giving my perspective allowed them to better understand the addiction of their loved ones. Mm-hmm. So,
because when you're in it too, you're probably not going to talk about it. Be like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. You know, I mean, you're in a very different mindset, I'm sure. And again, it's going to vary for everyone, but
there's no way I could sit down and have a conversation like we are now.
No.
Like back then.
Well,
I would have been all over the place.
It wouldn't even possible.
It wouldn't even make sense.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying everyone's like that. I'm just saying that you need to get to a point to where you can think and speak rationally.
Yeah, you had to come that far.
Yeah. And when you're popping pills and chewing them like candy, more than likely you're probably not in that space, or maybe you are because you've been doing it for so long. And that's what it was for me too, was I was taking so much because I was so deep, I was just normal. It got to a point I wasn't even taking the pills to get high. I was taking the pills to not get sick.
To feel normal.
Yeah. And you never would have known I was on them. And most people didn't. Pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, we love you guys. Thank you so much.
We love you so much.
Please, I'd love to read some feedback or some other questions for future episodes. And obviously, not every episode we're going to be talking about this, but because of the feedback of everyone, people seem to love it. We're gonna roll with a little mini series right now.
Little mini series.
Little mini-series.
Little mini series to help.
Well, I feel great, and it feels great to be able to talk about this and not get emotional. Because this is the first time.
Even just from a week ago, your energy's so different.
So you all offered me healing. Thank you for that. That almost made me emotional. I'm gonna stop now.
It's fine, and you're right.
All right, everybody.
Thank you for the gift. We love you.